What you're saying, Mrs. Newman? That it's quite possible that you brainwashed a young, impressionable child.
Your Honor, counsel is badgering the witness and attempting to put words in her mouth.
I disagree. Mrs. Newman has already admitted that it's quite possible that her negative attitude towards my client rubbed off on the child. I merely asked if it were possible that a great deal of it had rubbed off.
You used the word brainwashed.
That is what happens when a person is force-fed one side of the story over and over again.
No one fed Cassie any story.
All right, enough. Everyone just stop. I have been rather permissive because there is no jury, and I want to hear the thoughts and feelings of all the interested parties, but I am not going to allow this to turn into a free-for-all.
I hope you're not going to allow it to turn into an inquisition either, Your Honor.
Mrs. Williams, you're flirting with disaster.
I'll rephrase the question, Your Honor. Mrs. Newman, did you and your husband have conversations regarding my client in the privacy of your own home?
Of course we did.
Did you say unflattering things about her?
I'm sure she might find them unflattering.
Was the child ever present during these conversations?
No, of course not. Why would we talk about Alice in front of Cassie? Cassie never brought up the woman's name, so why would we?
Oh, the name was never brought up?
No. Well, the only time Cassie ever did say anything about Alice was when...
Was when you brought my client's name up yourself, perhaps? Mrs. Newman, was Cassie's memory very clear of her legal mother?
No. She hardly remembered Alice at all.
Oh, and yet you said she was terrified. She begged, she pledged, she freaked out when she learned that my client might take her back to Madison.
She's happy where she is.
And the image she's been given of my client is a frightening one, isn't it?
No, not by me, not by Nicholas, it isn't. Cassie knows that she was unhappy in Madison.
Of course she does. But do you honestly expect this court to believe that she arrived at that conclusion without a little help?
Victor, darling, are you here?
Good morning.
Hi, Miguel. It looks as though my husband's left already, huh?
Apparently, but what a beautiful day. Why don't you go out by the pool and I'll make some brunch for you?
No, I don't think so. Thank you, Miguel.
Mrs. Newman, it would be a beautiful way to start the day. Why don't you go out by the pool and I'll bring you something?
Miguel, I'm really not hungry. Why are you pushing this pool idea?
Mrs. Newman, I made some fresh croissants, especially for you.
Oh. Well, yes, I would love one. I'll be out by the pool.
That was a hard sell, Miguel. Nicely done.
Thank you, sir.
Jackson?
Is this some kind of statement? You're 20 minutes late.
Got hung up. Quit whining. What do you want?
I want to talk about Victor Newman. Why the hell else would I want to see you?
It's hard to tell these days, Jack, with you running your own agenda, partner.
You have been out of shape ever since the Chabot divestiture came up. Would you get over it? We got some work to do.
Oh, now I'm gonna get the rah-rah pep talk and suddenly we're back on the same team? I don't think so.
Look, I don't like you any more than you like me. We trust each other even less. Be that as it may, this ship we took great pains to build is in danger of going down. Now, either we can stick together and fight this thing, or we can go our separate ways and maybe drown alone. You decide, Bradley. I'll leave it up to you.
Mrs. Newman, when you told Cassie that she might have to move back to Madison, what do you think went through her mind?
I've told you already. I know she was terrified.
You said that Cassie had nightmares. Did she ever tell you what they were about?
Not really. Although she did cry out once, "Don't let her take me away."
Away from what?
That's obvious, isn't it?
No, not necessarily. Isn't it possible that you have mistaken real terror for the normal and understandable reluctance of a child, a young child, to be removed from a large house with spacious grounds and taken to a small house with a small, rather barren yard? A child who's become accustomed to riding in a big new car to private school, of having friends with similar lifestyles. A child who saw her newfound luxuries and comforts suddenly at risk.
You don't know Cassie. She doesn't
What I
care
do
about
know is that
that.
the only evidence presented in this court to prove that Cassie is terrified of being taken back to the home where she was raised from a newborn infant come
Arguing
from
his
you.
case, Your Honor.
Continue, Mr. Baldwin.
Mrs. Newman, are you certain that you want this court to believe that this child is terrified of my client when you know full well that that child has been taught to fear my client?
I have
And a
never...
child who has been purposefully indulged and spoiled and who simply does not want the fun to end.
No, I mean, yes, I am certain. Will you
No
get this
further
garbage?
questions, Your Honor.
Root beer, please. Nina, right?
Do I know you?
What, have I changed that much?
Billy? Oh my goodness. You got so darn handsome, I didn't recognize you.
Well, thanks. You're not so bad yourself.
Oh, well, he's got a little bit of that Abbott charm, doesn't he?
So, how's my nephew, Philip?
He's good. He's at summer camp.
Raising hell as usual, I bet?
No, I haven't gotten any irate phone calls from frazzled camp counselors yet, thank God.
Oh, wait, he's not causing any trouble? What kind of summer vacation is that? I'm gonna have to call him up, give him a few pointers.
No, please don't. Are you staying long?
Not that long. I'm leaving on another trip soon. My mom's not too happy about it.
Mom's not too happy about a lot of things lately.
Oh, my God. What is going on here? What are you doing back?
I live here. This is my home. Don't you ever forget that.
Does this mean that you're back for good?
For good.
Why? Why now? What are you up to?
Let's get something straight off the bat, all right? You do not intimidate me, nor may you cross-examine me. Is that clear?
I was merely curious as to where you've been all this time.
Absolutely none of your business, Joe.
Ah, I see. You think this little mystery act of yours is going to bother me? Well, it's not, Catherine. I've known all along that this is some sick mind game of yours.
No, it is not a game. It is deadly serious, as you well know. After all, you are the one who tried to shove me into a gutter.
What, you're saying it's my fault you left here?
Oh, well, yes, at first I held you responsible for trying to drive me out of my home, but then, you know, I realized that I had succumbed to my own demons. Nothing more than weaknesses and fears.
Save me the psychobabble. And while you're here, you stay out of my way. God, your being back is gonna ruin everything.
Well, what are you planning to do now? Just know You may have no more debaucheries in my home.
My home, and you don't know what you're talking about. Why don't you just disappear again? You've been back 5 minutes and I already can't stand the sight of you.
Might as well get used to it. It's the way it's always been. Probably always will be. Oh my goodness, Miguel, what a feast. Didn't have to go to all that trouble.
But I'm glad he did, because after we went swimming, we're going to be quite hungry.
Sir?
I took the liberty of bringing a swimming suit.
I thought you were at the office.
That was the idea.
Don't tell me Miguel was in on this.
I confess.
Oh, you are so bad.
I know I am.
Redirect, Your Honor.
Proceed, Mrs. Williams.
If the court please, may I have a moment with my investigator?
Hope it won't take long.
It'll just be a moment. Please tell me you have a line on Millie.
No such luck.
Damn, we need Millie.
I know. Fred is still working on it. Do you want me to stay or should I take off?
No, I insist you stay. Your Honor, Mr. Williams will not be a witness in this case. Is it all right if he remains in the courtroom?
I see no reason why not. Any objection, Mr. Baldwin?
What are you trying to say, Nia?
Just that Jill's been going through some changes lately, like everybody else.
What changes?
Okay, this is just a guess, but I can imagine that your mother's been missing you.
Well, how would you know? I mean, you two aren't exactly good friends.
No, that's true, but I'm a mother, and it's not hard to see another mother's pain at missing her child. Look, I would never presume to tell you what to do, and I don't know how flexible your plans are, but she's really lonely right now. She could use some company.
Meaning if I stick around, she'll be off your back.
Well, that's a very cynical way to put it, but the truth is that she likes you better than she likes me.
Well, you see, the thing is, like I said, I have plans. I don't want to be hung up here having to hold my mother's hand.
Well, I would say, why not? She held yours. But maybe that's not the case.
Look, all right, I'm finally free to do some stuff on my own. I don't want to be pinned down, that's all.
Sure, I mean, time's a wasting. You're, what, all of 16?
Oh, well, it seemed like it took forever, let me tell you.
I understand, but she's your mother.
Look, I gotta go. It was good seeing you. Tell Philip I said hi.
Okay. Billy, just give her a hug. All right, go ahead and hold her hand. It's not gonna kill you.
So what's it gonna be, Bradley? Are we in this together or not?
Well, I have to wonder if I wouldn't be better off going it alone, Jack.
Oh, really? And who's gonna watch your back?
Like you've been doing? That's a laugh.
I will admit, I took a bit of an end run in the Chabot divestiture. But we have each been working our own agenda in this thing, if you know what I mean.
If you're referring to Nikki, I don't want to hear
All
about
I'm saying is we have each been doing our own thing in our own way. Overall, though, this little alliance has been very productive, wouldn't you say?
The company's in good shape. I'll say that much.
The structure we put in place is still in place, despite Victor's return.
So let's suppose I do decide to stay on the team. What about the others? Like Ash, for example. What's she going to do? Her vote tips the scale either way.
She'll come around.
Meaning she hasn't? That's great. She's your own sister, for God's sake. If you can't deliver her...
I am working on her, day and night.
What's the problem?
The problem is she has a mind of her own.
No, I'll tell you what the problem is. How about Diane?
You want to spell that out for me?
Well, it looks like I have to. Diane voted with us. Ash can't stand Diane. Capiche?
Capiche. Well, now that Diane's shaky.
Are you telling me that we can't count on Diane's vote now? Oh, this is just... Can't you control your own fiancé? We are in the fight of our lives here, the whole cha-cha hanging on the votes of your sister and your fiancé, and you can't deliver either one of them? And you want me to stay on board with you? Oh, that's a good one, Jack. That's a real good one.
I think you're gonna be late to work today.
I don't give a damn.
Maybe you won't go in at all.
It depends on how things shape up.
Oh, what about Jack and Brad?
My absence will only make them more uptight. They'll be wondering what I'm up to.
I'll never tell. What is that? Oh. Is that your doing?
What do you think?
You are the most unpredictable man. This is wonderful. You know you're spoiling me.
I love to spoil you. Yes, you deserve it.
What if I get used to it?
Then, my darling love, we just have to do it over and over again.
I like that idea.
So do I.
Fine with me if Mr. Williams stays, Your Honor.
Proceed.
Mrs. Newman, you started to say when Mr. Baldwin was firing questions at you that you mentioned his client to Cassie. Now, when was that?
Once when I was curious, I wanted to know her feelings. There's nothing so terrible about that, is there? Cassie was saying how she'd missed Millie. So I asked her what she remembered about Alice. She said not much, except that Alice yelled a lot and she slept late.
Hearsay, Your Honor.
Any other time?
After Alice came barging in our house demanding to see Cassie. Luckily, our daughter wasn't home at the time, but I brought up the subject of Alice later, so Cassie wouldn't be caught off guard if the woman decided to come back. But, Your Honor, I want you to know I never once badmouthed Alice to Cassie. There was no need to. There was never any competition for the child's affection. Cassie never felt any connection to that woman, not now, not even after all the awful visits. I am Cassie's mother. She loves me. She loves Nicholas. She loves our life together. And that has nothing to do with big houses or private schools either. It comes from here. It comes from a feeling of security, knowing that we love her and that we would never ever abandon her.
Your Honor, we have no further witnesses at this time. However, I would like to reserve the right to call another witness if we should succeed in solving the mystery of her whereabouts.
I'll allow that, Mrs. Williams, but it had better happen soon.
And I hope it will. For now, we rest.
You may step down, and you can call your first witness, counsel.
Alice Johnson.
Thank you.
Miss Johnson, before I ask you to comment on the present state of your relationship with Cassie, I'd like you to provide a little background. You took the child to live with you when she was how old?
Only a few days.
So, you witnessed a number of milestones in the child's early life, didn't you?
Oh, more than just witnessed. She took her first steps into my arms. Cassie's first word was hot. One morning, she touched my coffee cup and then pulled her hand back, and I said, "That's hot. It's hot, honey." And fed on, everything was hot. I mean, even the cat was hot. Then one day, she knocked up at me and said, "Mama." I thought it was gonna bust.
No one is denying that Ms. Johnson cared for the child during the years before she abandoned.
Oh, please, Your Honor.
All right, let's stay away from abandon, Mrs. Williams. And let's get through this part of the story, Mr. Baldwin.
I have a purpose, Judge. Miss Johnson, your child was 3 years old when you left Madison, isn't that correct?
3 plus a couple of months.
And when you saw the child sometime later at the Newman home, did you recognize her?
Bet I did.
Miss Johnson, did she recognize you?
Of course. Yes. Immediately.
Would you say, judging from her expression, her actions, this child that you had known so intimately for so long, that she was afraid of you?
Catherine, I'm sorry for what happened.
Well, that's very kind of you, Joe.
I was hoping that we could bury the hatchet.
Were you?
Yes, I even thought that maybe I would give you a little time here in your home alone.
What do I have to do for you now?
Well, I thought that maybe you could just go back to wherever you've been staying, just for a little while I iron some things out.
You are out of your mind. I am staying. This is my home.
You can't stay! You're gonna ruin everything!
I'm so sorry.
You all ruined my Sonny's back!
Billy? Oh my God, Billy's in the house?
No, he's not in the house, but he'll be back soon. I want him to stay the summer with me.
Oh my God, yes, of course, I see. And you're afraid that my presence and treatment of him could send him packing.
No!
Oh, that's a very interesting
No, I am
situation.
afraid that the tension between us is going to drive him out of here.
You are asking me to pretend that nothing ever happened between the two of us?
Catherine, please, you know how much Billy means to me.
So I should welcome your son as though nothing ever happened between the two of us.
Don't take your anger at me out on him. Please don't do that.
many times while you were gone, I would dream about this, being with you alone. Just the two of us.
But it isn't just the two of us now, is it?
I don't see anybody else but you.
Well, if you don't, then I won't either. May I have the first dance?
You can have the first, and the last, and all of those in between.
Mrs. Chancellor.
Catherine returned unexpectedly, darling.
Oh, yeah, Mom said you wouldn't be here.
Well, I am here, and I am here to stay.
Oh, well, that's good. I'm glad. I was hoping I'd see you again.
So good to see you too, Billy.
Dad says to say hello.
Well, listen, you just give your father a great big kiss from me when you see him. Hmm?
Will do, Mrs. Chancellor.
And I think you should congratulate him for me on raising such a fine young man.
Thanks.
Jill, I want you to know something.
What?
This young man can stay right here as long as he wants. Well, there's everything a young boy could want on this estate.
Right.
No, there's tennis courts, there's swimming pool, there's horses,
Oh,
there's
yeah,
a lake.
I was looking around earlier. Looks like a lot of fun here.
Except one thing's missing. Friend.
Oh, well, you know, I'll be okay.
That's all right.
He will be fine.
We'll see what we can do to find you a friend.
Well, I don't want you to go to any trouble.
No trouble. Tell me, Billy, how long do you plan to stay?
I'm not quite sure yet.
Honey, all summer. If that's all right with you, Catherine.
Let's play it by ear.
Sure. Well, thanks, okay?
You bet.
I guess I'll head upstairs for a while.
Your son. He's quite a pleasant young man, Joe.
Your Honor, Mr. Baldwin has objected time and again to supposedly unwarranted conclusions on the part of our witnesses. Is he now going to offer his own client as an expert
Your
on children?
Honor, I am merely asking Miss Johnson for her opinion as a mother, her impressions of that first reunion with her daughter.
I'll hear it. Go ahead, Miss Johnson.
No. Cassie was not afraid of me. Oh, she might have been for a moment because of the things she'd been told about me.
That's totally improper.
Unless you have proof, Mr.
Miss
Baldwin.
Johnson, I asked for your impressions of the moment. Please don't go beyond that.
Okay. After I'd been there a short time, Cassie relaxed. But she was still a bit shy, reserved. You know, she'd been through a lot, Your Honor. Whisked out to Genoa City to live without warning. These people telling her they're her parents. That's gotta be confusing. Poor kid didn't know what was gonna happen next. But we did have a good time together. After our second visit, I started to sense that she was getting more comfortable with me.
So, you feel there's hope for your relationship with Cassie?
Oh, yeah. No question about it. Of course, I won't be able to give her the luxuries she's had here, but that's okay. Most kids grow up just fine without their own horse.
Let's talk for a moment about your financial situation, Miss Johnson.
I'm broke. No sense pretending I'm not. You know, it's cost a lot running between here and Madison, staying in motels.
You have no job.
Well, I've been taking a home course in computer keyboarding, data entry, that kind of stuff. You know, it's important these days, even if you're doing phone work or customer relations for a bank, you know, you have to know how to work the computer.
Have you submitted any applications?
I talked to an employment agency, and they said they can get me temp work. Easy. After a while, with some experience, I should land a permanent job.
I'm sure you will. Miss Johnson, don't you think that people might say that your interest in getting your daughter back is a little sudden? Alice, you must admit that your protracted absence from the home didn't make for the most loving scenario.
Listen, I was away, physically, but a day didn't go by that I didn't think about my little girl. No, Mr. Baldwin, there was nothing sudden about it. I've wanted my daughter back since the day I left.
Yet you felt that you couldn't manage the stresses and strains of parenthood.
Yeah, I was having a rough time. But my going away was not just escaping. I thought that if I could get my head together while Ma took care of Cassie, that I could come back and be the mother she deserved.
And now you feel that you can be that mother.
Yes. Our separation has made me realize that Cassie is the most important thing in my life.
No further questions, Your Honor. Your witness, counsel.
Were you happy, my darling?
Very. This is like a dream come true, spending time with you.
It's only the beginning.
How much time do we have before you have to be at the office?
Let's not think about that. Why don't we send the musicians away? And I'll take you upstairs into our bedroom.
Yes, why don't we? Oh, no, your cell phone.
Little ring.
Yeah, but Sharon and Nicholas are in court today. What if they want to talk to us?
Are they on court today? Yeah. When? Now? Thank you.
What, is everything all right?
A little business matter I need to take care of. I'll be right back. I'll be right back. I'll be right back.
Yes, indeed. Quite a fine boy.
All right, Catherine, what's it gonna cost me?
Cost you?
You were pleasant to my son. I expected you to go through the roof.
What if I told you I was pleasant to your son because I found him a very charming, level-headed young boy?
I wouldn't believe you.
You really think I have that much of a vendetta against you that I would take it out on your son?
I don't know, Catherine. I don't know what you would do. Not after your lengthy disappearing
Well, let
act.
me reassure you, I have no great desire to cause trouble between you and your son. Unless you are...
Unless?
You're a bright woman, Joe. I mean, you know me well enough to know that I do expect something in return for my cooperation.
Well, why don't you tell me what it is so I could prepare myself?
Not to worry. You'll know soon enough.
Ms. Johnson, you left Cassie with your mother when you went in search of whatever it was. Is that correct?
No, I told you.
Yeah, I know. You said that you trusted your mother to care for this child whom you loved and who you kept in your thoughts, correct?
I knew that she was a good grandma and that she loved Cassie. That's all that seemed important.
Let me see if I have this straight. You and your mom lived together. She taught you to parent, or so you say, yet you can't tell us that the two of you were close. Is that right?
Look, Ma and I had our differences, but we were close.
And presumably, Ms. Johnson, if you were to go back to work, you'd need someone to watch the child, if Cassie were to go back to Madison with you.
That's true.
Would that person be your mother?
I hope so. She and Cassie get along great.
Yeah. So great that you left her with your mom for 3 years.
Your Honor, I fail to see where this line of questioning is going. Grandmothers taking care of children part-time or full-time is nothing unusual these days.
Where is your mother, Ms. Johnson?
I don't know.
Isn't it true that she, of all people, could verify how the child really feels about you?
If Ma were here, she'd back me up.
Well, I'm surprised, because if she feels as you say, I would think wild horses couldn't keep her out of this courtroom.
She went away.
Where?
I already said, I don't know.
Is it not true, Ms. Johnson, that in fact you do know where your mother is and that you are deliberately keeping her from any contact with these proceedings? That you, along with another person or persons, are hiding Mildred Johnson so that she can't come into this courtroom and expose you for the incompetent, unfit mother that you are?
Bradley, you and I have known each other a long time now. Despite our ups and downs over the years, I still asked you to help me take over Newman Enterprises. Why? Because you are always calm under fire. You don't panic, and yet here you are panicking.
Save the reverse psychology, Jack. Just because I don't want to stay on a sinking ship with a partner I can't trust doesn't mean I'm panicking.
I'm going to try to get through to you one more time. You and I have accomplished a great deal together. We're in a very strong position. The only way we can blow this thing is by blowing our cool.
What's it going to take for you to wake up? What if I ask Sergeant Victor? What if Diane goes over to his side? How secure are we then, partner? Everything we've busted our butts for months will be toast. We'll be out of here, and Victor will see to it that we never work again.
All the more reason for us to stay calm and plan a counterattack. Now listen, I've been doing a little thinking. I think I might have a plan, an answer to our problems. A way of dealing with things so that Victor can't get rid of us no matter what happens.
Sounds like you're still living in fantasy land.
Well, this is for real, pal. This is what I call a win-win proposition.
Hello, I'm Leanna Love. Thank you for joining me. Today, I have a special report on the biggest story of the summer. Tycoon Victor Newman's mysterious disappearance after his small plane crashed in the New Mexico desert. At long last, I have uncovered the whole story. Beginning when Victor's plane went down, to his miraculous reappearance a few days ago. You will learn how Victor, despite a badly broken leg, managed to survive his ordeal at the hands of a madman who held him captive. You will also learn how Victor escaped and who helped him. What you will see today is a Leanna Love exclusive. The first interview with this mysterious woman of the desert. The new woman in Victor Newman's life.